do here every Sunday at TSS. We're going to start with reading from the book Happy Life, followed by prayer that I'm going to facilitate with you guys, and we're going to throw to the lecture after that.
Kind of strange.
Yeah, so Dana's going to start with the reading.
Kind of strange.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's okay? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What do I just start?
Yeah.
Okay. Be wise. Invest in your future. What is happening to you now is the result of the past that you can do nothing about. But what is to come depends on what you do starting today. While you reap the effects of the past actions, you present actions you have future. You present your actions. Sorry, my bad. While you reap the effects of past actions, your present actions have future consequences. As you sow, so you shall reap. You are destined for goodness. How to get there is your choice, through quick or delayed action and setbacks. Suffering is not inevitable. It is the result of wrong choice. Invest in tomorrow and you will be happy beginning today. This is
All right. Okay. So let us then get started with our prayer now, so we can get ready for our lecture and activities today. So let us now, everybody, elevate our thoughts and our minds to our Master Jesus and our Father, Mother God. May we ask for the blessings for the moment we're having right now, for our meeting in our home, in our house TSS, in our school TSS, and our hospital TSS. So everybody here with our spiritual friends can join us and help our Rafael presenting today, and helping each one of us present here with all our needs, our struggles, and the ones that are connected with us on the internet, and all the ones that are not even connected directly to us today, but certainly can feel the good vibrations that we project in the world. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. And may we have a blessed and loving meeting today. And may we take this opportunity and this knowledge to facilitate our inner transformation and our next steps in this beautiful life. Thank you, and so be it.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Daniel. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. It's very important for whoever comes here to speak, to see you guys. So it's a huge support. Your energy is combined. It's something that is very strong. Whoever is here can sense that, and it helps a lot. And today is a beautiful day to talk about Spiritism once again. The main topic today is about fraternal communication. And as Daniel read to us, we'll reap as we sow. And what I will try to bring today is that we also sow with words. We are responsible for the words that we say. As please sit down. So, as incarnates, we are sensitive to each other's thoughts, and we read body language. But we are more sensitive to words because it's closer to the level that we are. So words can hit us as a bomb. It can help us feel better, or it can hurt us a lot. But I would like to start, before we go to fraternal communication, I want to talk a little bit about life and communication. So we cannot explain where life comes from. We don't know yet. We don't know how life comes to be. What we know is that it does. We are here today and we are alive. So the universe somehow, well, it goes also connected to communication. So we can say the universe, we can say God, we can say whatever field X, Y, Z. But there is a force, an intelligence, that a cause that creates laws that allowed for life to exist, to spring into existence. There's a name for that. It's the anthropic principle. So it means that we know that life is there because we are here, and we are alive to make that question. So it's like we know that we are here. So then the universe is proper for the creation of life. The closest we came about understanding where life comes from, it's from an experiment that from Miller and Urey. So it's the name of two scientists. Then in the 60s, they were able to recreate the atmosphere of the primitive Earth, the primitive planet, in a test tube. They created that atmosphere, and then when they placed a spark, an electric spark in that atmosphere, there were organic molecules created. So for us, that's normal. We create organic molecules. We synthesize them in the lab, but at that time, that was unprecedented. There was no knowledge of that being possible before. And not much, well, there's a lot of science and understanding and learning that came before that, but we still don't know where life comes from. We only know the properties of life. We know, for example, that we adapt. If something is alive, it will adapt. If something is alive, it will reproduce, and it will maintain what we call homeostasis. It maintains the internal atmosphere of the body. So it maintains the temperature, it maintains the organs. So you need these attributes to be alive. But we have no idea where it comes from. But we know that there was a time where there was no life in the universe. How do you know that? Because we can see further in time and space by looking out in the universe. And there was a time where there were no galaxies. If there were no galaxies, there were no stars. And if there are no stars, the elements, they are cooked. So the periodic table of elements, they are all cooked inside of stars. So if there are no stars, there are no elements. If there are no elements, then there cannot be life. So we know that there was a time where life was created. So this might be like obvious, but it's very important because we could say life existed forever. There was always a time that existed life. And we can say no. It was created. From this moment on is when life started to exist in our universe. Created by whom or by what? We have no idea. In the Spirit's book, we tend to use the pronouns him and he for a creator to fill this gap. What created life? Instead of asking what, we always go towards who created life. But that is just the way that our mind works, is the way that we project our own humanity into a cause that we don't know yet what it is. So this is something that I'll if we have time, I'll come back to this topic of the creator and creation. But I want to move on from this topic, from this point, and say that whatever force creates life it doesn't stop there. It pushes us forward. It pushes us towards evolution, towards development. It's not just life appears and it remains where it is. There is a natural law that pushes forward. So the more adaptable or the more adapted being will have more chances for reproduction and to spread its DNA. And always the one that is more adapted will continue, will proliferate. And life will keep improving. And among this development, something I consider very interesting, and it's something that sometimes we forget. We saw that we live better in groups. We live better when we are together. So in the beginning, we didn't know how to communicate, right? So if you're all together, it doesn't matter if you are a bacteria, if you are a mammal, if you are a vegetable. There has to be some sort of communication. And this communication started with just the secretion of pheromones or any kind of chemical substance that produces a smell. Then muscle contractions. We learn to move muscles in order to communicate. And then we learn how to modulate the atmosphere that we are inserted in. Mammals or terrestrial beings, they learn to modulate air and make sound. Beings that live in water, they learn to modulate water and create sounds, because that goes much further. It travels further than smell or just movement. I don't know if you guys know this, but in coral reefs, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise. If you put a microphone in there, but you just look at any David Attenborough show, and fish, they make a lot of noise. And in the beginning, the noises that we did as primitive beings, they were really simple, because our mind was very simple. It was just emotions. We communicated fear, we communicated hunger, desire. But that was the limit. Sometimes we think that, oh, do animals talk like we do? No, because they don't have the same kind of thoughts that we do. It's very simple thoughts. Even though if you have a dog, you'll see that it's very complex, and they can communicate much more than just the simple emotions. They can go very far. But that's because dog is a species that was created by us. We created dogs as a species, and they evolved with men together, with mankind, humans together. And there are dogs that they can understand commands with up to 3 words. So you can give them a command with 3 words and they would understand the difference between one command and the other. But it doesn't stop there. The next step is described really well in the book Evolution in Two Worlds by the Spirit André Luiz. The name of the chapter is Word and Responsibility. In this chapter, André Luiz tells us that when the intelligent principle, before we become spirits, we are called intelligent principles. Like animals, we say, some people misinterpret, we say that they don't have spirit, but that's just a term. It's like calling a child an adult. It doesn't mean that the child is not going to be an adult, but if it's a child, there's a different way to treat a child than you have in treating an adult. So it's the same thing with intelligent principle and spirit. So when the intelligent principle is ready to become a spirit and to start incarnating in a more complex body, André Luiz tells us that this intelligent principle is taken to a special place in the spiritual world. And then the phonetic mechanism starts being created. They start changing the way that the feeding habits, I forgot the term, the organs of the body responsible for feeding and breathing, they start being tweaked so that we also develop muscles that would modulate, that would contract and relax and free sound waves. And we can see this development in terms of mutations, because it doesn't happen. It's not like we have an Australopithecus or an ape-like creature, and then suddenly that creature comes back as a man talking. It doesn't happen like that. We have to go through the reincarnation process. The reincarnation process for the spirit, it's extremely important for the development of the perispirit. Because when we are, if we see the books from André Luiz, I think it's Missionaries of the Light, where there is a very detailed reincarnation process. And it talks about the process that it takes for the perispirit to connect and supervise every cellular division, every mitosis. And that goes both ways. What do we do? Have you guys ever heard about spirits that they lose their shape? Yeah, ovoids, exactly. So if you have ovoids, spirits that they have one single thought, like for example, vengeance or hate, and they cannot get away from that. So they lose the conscience of being the shape of a human being. And in the spiritual world, your body, your perispirit is much more sensitive to your thoughts than this body that stores a lot of energy. If you don't think about your arms, you may lose them because you don't think them. So it's kind of, you are what you think. So they contract into an elliptical shape. And what do you do to bring that spirit back to the human shape? You have to make that spirit, with several treatments, you have to make that spirit reincarnate over and over and over again. Sometimes that spirit doesn't go through the 9 months of pregnancy. It can't. Then it comes again. Then it's born, but it's a stillborn. Then it comes again. And then it leaves like for 2 weeks. Then it comes again. And then every process, it makes the perispirit to create matter. It has to reflect that on matter. And that means that we have to learn. So we have, for us to develop the mechanism that makes us talk today, we had to come several times. So we see that in nature as mutations, random mutations that come. And when you put those mutations together, adding that natural evolution, natural selection, we see that it points somewhere. It points to where we are now. And when we are, and then something really, it's kind of a combination of processes together with us developing the mechanism to speak. We also develop memory, and our minds started to accumulate knowledge. So animals, they have knowledge, but they solve a problem, they find a solution, then they forget because they don't need that anymore. They can open a box to get food inside, and they learn how to open that box, but they don't go back and think on a better way to open that box or create a tool. And they think, I have been opening that box for every day in a week, so I want to make the process faster or easier. I'm going to create a tool that opens the box right away, a tool that fits my paws or whatever. Animals don't have that. As soon as they grab the food, they forget, okay, that's enough. As human beings, we are not like that. We accumulate. We don't forget. And that's called culture. And as we develop a better mechanism to modulate air, and it has a better resolution. So we cannot just say oh, e, or oo. We create words, so they start having different meanings. It's not just fear and love or desire. It's, hey, you know what? I don't like when you do that to me. Sit here. Let's have a talk. I'm going to tell you how I feel. So you see the difference. It's a lot. Exactly. So it's a whole a group of things that happen together. And as we learn to describe things, we also learn to see ourselves. And in the silence of our lives, we started questioning. Because the thinking process, it never ends. It accumulates. And once you do the same thing every day and you never forget, you start asking, why am I doing the same thing every day? If you forget every time you hunt and you eat, then you don't ask that question. Once you accumulate, then you start asking, why? Why do I do this? Then it rains and I feel cold. Why does it rain? Who makes the rain? And then we start seeing the roots of religion, philosophy, and science with experimentation. And throughout this process, we have the mentors, the spiritual mentors, helping us. And with their intuition, we start learning more and more words and ways to communicate. And then we can, not just our culture start being accumulated, but the overall culture. Because if I go and experience something, now I have the tools to describe to another member of the tribe. You don't have to try it. I already did. And this is what happened. This. And then that person will tell me something back. Oh yeah, but I tested it in a different way. So this. And then the overall culture is, we do it this way. We test it this way, we test it that way, and we do it this way. That's technology development. And then we learn not just to speak, but we learn to translate those sounds into writings, so that our sons and daughters and descendants would also learn from the experiments that we did. And this is the narration of this chapter in the book, Evolution, Two Worlds. And something else happens. So now we have words, and we learn to talk to ourselves. We question the world around us, and we question ourselves. We start at the same time, when that happens, when we see ourselves as humans, or whatever name we used at that time, we start spending more time in the spiritual world when we sleep. Why? Okay. Do animals spend time in the spiritual world? Yes, they do. Of course. They do. They have an intelligent principle. But they need other spirits to bring them, to disconnect them from the bodies, because a dog doesn't know it is a dog. It doesn't know what a dog is. A dog sees as a member of the family, just as we are. They don't know the difference. And we can see that on their behavior. They want to sleep in our bed, they want to eat our food. So when we become humans, when we have words, we talk to ourselves in our minds, we start spending more time in the spiritual world. Now we learn to disconnect. We don't need anybody to do that for us. Because if you are in the spiritual world or connected to your body, you still have your own conscience. You are a conscious being now. And what that creates, it's a strengthening of the connection between the spiritual world and the incarnate world. We are always in connection with those that are incarnated and those that are disconnected. This is something that more often than not, we don't think about it. But André Luiz tells us, and when this connection deepens, we also learn, or we acquire the power to build and destroy with our words. And at that moment, we become responsible. When we only work with, when we only respond to instincts, there's no responsibility, because the instinct is a natural impulse. So it's within boundaries already. It's balanced, it's perfect. But when we start making our own decisions, we become conscious, we start making questions, experiments, and changing the environment, we become responsible. There's a responsibility. And with that responsibility, it comes cause and effect. So everything we say, it makes us responsible for what that produces, what builds and what destroys. So that makes me think on the world that we live in today. So in the same planet, we have people that can soothe our pain with words, just words. People that can make us feel better by using words to make us see our problem in a different perspective. It's building something, it's consoling, it's transmitting love. And in the same planet, we have people that we use also the mechanism of words to create war. If you allow me, the way I see this is as an imperfect analogy. It's when, I don't know if you guys remember biology class in high school, the phases of mitosis. There's like the chromosomes, they start migrating to the poles of the cell. And then we have telophases and cytokinetics. And then the cell actually separates and creates two cells. It seems that the world as we are living, the world in transition, it's moving towards that division. So we have people who cannot understand the benefits of have an area of the world that is open to all types of cultural backgrounds. We said, if I have this place and I allow people from all over the world to come, this is going to be beneficial for society, economy, technology, whatever. And we have other people that look at that and say, no, we need to have only one type of background. Only one type. And this is kind of, it's a huge polarization of our world. Sometime along the way, this is going to divide. That's what we learn from Spiritism, that this population will not be together forever, because they need to learn in different environments. At a certain point of our evolution, we need to change the frequency range where we exist. That is something that it's very interesting in Spiritism. So we see in the books that we read, that are brought to us by the discarnate spirits, that the spirits that are more on a high level, the happy spirits, they cannot be seen by the spirits that are sad or addicted or diseased. They don't exist in the same frequency range. So when the difference between the evolution of the spirits start reaching such different levels of range, they have to be separated. So of course I use the analogy of mitosis, but we're not going to create an exact equal planet on the other side. It's completely different from that. It's the people who are more connected to type of thoughts and actions that produce violence, sadness, or those type of actions that do not take place on the majority of our society, they will have to go somewhere else. Whereas the society that is here now will go on growing. So that's why it's important for us to start thinking about the way that we communicate. What is the fraternal communication? What does it mean, fraternal communication? So I've spoken about life and the necessity of communicate, the necessity of communication, and how the physical body develops that communication. Now we are here now. So what do we do? How do we improve ourselves? I believe that we can all understand that we can make a situation worse or better with the words that we use, right? So I'm going to take one example that is very specific, but that it has a purpose, because I've seen that many, many times. When we use the words idiocy and stupidity, we call people idiots and stupid all the time. What does that mean? Idiocy and stupidity is a less than technical term to identify a person that has some sort of mental disability. For example, 3 chromosomes in the 23rd position. That creates a specific type of mental disability. Let's say if that person has that disability, what good does it make? What good does it create for us to call that person by the disability that they have? Do we have that right? Or is it useful? So if someone has some sort of disability and does something that we don't agree with, and then we get angry and we call that person by the name of disability that they have, it makes no sense. And most of the time, that's not what we are doing. We are comparing a person that just has another opinion, another point of view than us, with someone that has a mental disability. So it's a mechanism with using one word. We are trying to make that person less worthy of an opinion than we are. That's what we are doing unconsciously by calling that person this name or that name. What I'm saying here, with a very specific example, is that is useless. That is useless. It's just us trying to demeanor or to reduce the value of that person. And then we can think, oh, but that person is an ignorant. And there's a really interesting question that I heard from Haroldo Dutra Dias to kind of put us in our place. You have an intestine? Have you ever felt food poisoning where you were in the washroom and you wish that you had 2 toilets? Is that something that a superior spirit would have? So you are ignorant too. We all have our ignorance. We all have something that we know and something that we don't know. So the fact that we have somebody else with a different opinion and we know that that person it lacks a certain knowledge, maybe that person, it has extra knowledge in another area that we don't have. And how is it that we want to be treated? So that's the first thing. When you think about calling someone names, you think that that's not going to help either you or that person. So then he starts an exercise. First, don't let it go to your words. Just don't say it. It's going to happen in your head, but just don't say it. And as you progress, as you continue doing that exercise, you see that even in your head that is not going to happen anymore. So that's one very specific example of fraternal communication. Learn or exercise in your own ego the fact that everybody has their value as much as we do. And just calling it names, it's not going to help. And that's specifically more demanding, not demanding, but as students of Spiritism, we have a little bit more responsibility to do this exercise. Why? Because we have the potential to know better. I'm not going to say that we know better. I'm going to say that we have the potential to know better. Information is different than knowledge. When you guys come here and you sit and you watch a lecture or you read a book, you are gathering information, but it's still not your knowledge. To be knowledge, it has to be yours. It has to be appropriated. It has to be accumulated, understood. First, you have to ask yourself, do I agree with that or do I disagree? We do not spread blind faith. If you agree with something or you disagree, it's because of you. It has to be inside of you. It is a conversation that you have with yourself. What I heard today, does that make sense? Then I'll think about it. Maybe I'm going to put it to the test in my own life, and I'm going to make my own opinion. Then it's a knowledge. Until then, it's just information. And the same thing if you read in a book. You can read the Spirit's book or the Gospel according to Spiritism 100 times. If you don't think about it, if you don't try to put it in practice and you see, oh my God, this is so hard. I know it's saying here, and it makes sense in my mind, but when I try to put it in my life, it's just too hard. What am I missing? And then you think about it and you say, and you see the nuances, and then you read it again and you see that it goes deeper and you understand a little bit more and then a little bit more. That's how you build your own knowledge. But you have to do that. Otherwise, it's just information. Another example. This one will be weird because everybody does it. When we use swear words to fill lacks of language, when we don't know the word to put in there, and we use swear words. So it's let me try to compose myself, because I imagine myself in a lot of situations. So let's say business meeting, a professional meeting, and people are describing a process and they put bodily functions in the middle of the sentence or sexual relations in the middle of a sentence. What is it doing there? And we all, so the F word, S word, or whatever, it seems that has been accepted and everybody does it. Then I propose something. try as an exercise, as an intellectual endeavor, to use the proper word in that part of the sentence. Use the proper word. What is the proper word? Well, study, read, and you figure out. And do that for some time, and then you will see how you feel when people do the opposite on a situation that is supposed to be a serious conversation. You see that it hurts your ears, and you see it kind of, you hear that, and you immediately think that's not very appropriate. So that's not what that person is trying to say. We have enough inefficiency in the words that we speak to increase that with swear words. Every 3 words that comes a swear word. That's an intellectual endeavor. It's an effort that you do to try to communicate your ideas properly and in a non-aggressive way. Have you guys ever heard Divaldo saying something inappropriate on a lecture? Or Chico Xavier? When you read the gospel according to Luke, does Jesus speak like that? It doesn't mean that just by stop saying that, you're only going to say good things. No, it doesn't happen like that, because the words, what I'm saying is that you try to use the words in the best way possible to express your ideas. And calling people names and using swear words is not the right direction to go. And of course, I'm not here to judge anybody. I can tell you that if you do the exercise, you'll feel the difference. It's like when you stop eating chocolate. And then, I know, I was able to stop for 2 years. Then when I ate chocolate, I felt my tongue numb because of the sugar. And then I saw, oh, that's what that sugar does. And then you feel in your body. So it's the same thing. If you try to do these exercises, you'll see. And that's not just with words, but with gestures with your hands. It's the exercise. So Joe, a few weeks ago, he was talking about being meek. And he talked about the word raka that Jesus was saying, that you should not say that. It should not come out of your lips. That's the same thing, but I'm saying I'm using the same idea with modern words. In another book called The Messengers, André Luiz is in an outpost called Campo da Paz, or Field of Peace. And this book was written in 1944. So it's when the Allied forces start gaining ground in Europe with Operation Overlord, the D-Day, and things like that. So a lot of people were dying. And these discarnated spirits, they were being received at Campo da Paz. And André Luiz is there trying to help whatever he can. And the supervisor says, we need more breath technicians. For these cases, we need breath technicians. And then André Luiz says, what's a breath technician? It's a person, a spirit, that is committed to say only good things and to maintain a mindset to help people. So it's a mindset to help people, and the organ that produces the words is only used for good words, only good things. Then these type of people, they blow, they blow on other spirits, and that air, it comes with healing properties. It's like a pass, but with breath. And you can only do that if you only say good things. So that's something that makes us think. If it's that important, what am I transmitting when I say bad things? So fraternal communication is the action to think on everything you say and to exercise yourself to try to do good things, to try to say good things. In the complexity of our thoughts, we can also understand, of course. We speak and we understand words. So if someone comes to us and explains to us that what we said made them feel bad or feel sad or feel angry, we know that we can fix that with words of our own. We can apologize. If we apologize, so that's another thing that we learned from André Luiz, from book 1, Nosso Lar, where he learns that when he starts meeting discarnate people that he met in life, and his instructor, there's always an instructor, told him, did you ask for forgiveness? Did you apologize? Because André Luiz said, I said something to that guy, or I did something, I don't remember now. But never lose the chance to apologize when that person is brought back to your life. So that's something that it's the opposite of fraternal communication, is to understand that we have our limitations, we have our defects, emotions, they drives us away from the path that we know it's the right one. It happens. Sometimes we are in a certain state that the best way is just don't say anything. Don't say anything. Wait. Sleep on it. Wait for the next day. And then you see that, thank God I didn't say anything. Or when you do, and then you think later, oh my God, that was so harsh. I shouldn't have said that. I was overreacting. Use the opportunity to apologize. It's how good does it do to the other person that is hurting because of something that we said. It's very powerful. It's us letting go of our ego and understanding that I used my words to hurt the feelings of another person. And interesting that how hard that is. How hard it is for us to put ourselves in a position to ask for forgiveness. That tells a lot of about ourselves and the necessity to make us look superior. And that's we all have that. It's not wrong or right. It's just a state of the spirit evolution that we are. What we cannot do is just accept that and don't do anything. We have to keep trying to be better. And that is what fraternal communication means. Is you see the other person with empathy, with compassion, and you have the conscience that your words can make that person feel better or worse. And if you see that your emotions are getting out of hand, you ask for some time. Hey, give me a day. Give me a day. Understand your own limits. There's yet another example. Is when we use the truth as a weapon. As let's say if we study, we absorb information and we meditate, in whatever field we are and whatever life path we take, we accumulate knowledge. We are humans. And we may get to a situation where we can use that knowledge to humiliate someone someone that is doing something that we don't agree, and we know that we can go there and unload a ton of information to make that person quiet. Humiliation. That's not the purpose of truth. Purpose of truth, it's consolation, it's to bring everybody to a higher level. I'm going to make a small definition here in separation. Dialectic versus debate. When we watch a debate, we see people clashing ideas and trying to win against the others. And using all the words that I already said, that is not the right direction to go. Especially if you see political debates. To me, that's an exercise in what is the proper word? It's completely useless. It's useless. Even if you win a debate like that, you lose because you leave without any extra knowledge. So you went there, you told everybody what you think. The other person maybe didn't speak fast enough, or it didn't speak loud enough, or it was not as aggressive, and then people say, hey, you won the debate. You didn't win anything. Now let's look at dialectic. Dialectic is an exercise where people, they put their ideas on the table and they try to find a concept that is bigger than the two of them, or the three of them, or the four of them. So you have an idea. I want to do things on this way. And then you find a person that has that knowledge, or has knowledge like yours, or more, and then, hey, I had this idea. And then that person puts, oh yeah, but this particular way is not going to work because of this, and that. And then you take that, okay, building on that, then maybe I can do this other way. So this is dialectic. It's one building on the other. It's not about winning. It's about trying to find a better way of doing, or a better concept for all the parties involved. It's completely different. You don't call the other person ignorant or idiot or whatever. You can say, I agree or I disagree because this, and that. So you both are building on it. And that's fraternal communication. I respect the other person. I respect that opinion. I don't disregard it. I listen. And I try to build my own concept with what I heard. So I brought here 3 examples. And they are not that difficult. They are not that difficult. But if we do it, things get so much simpler. So much simpler. We all have, as I said, our egos and shields. So depending on the way that someone tells us something, we can raise that shield. And then nothing else will pass through. We don't listen to anything else. And maybe that person didn't even mean to say it that way, but we understood because of what is already in our hearts, our own insecurities. So once we understand that about ourselves, we can also understand that about others. And that makes us more sensitive to the way we speak to other people. So this is, those are simple examples, but it requires exercise and training. And I can tell you that it can be done. It can be done. I had a few victories in my life by trying it. And I know that any one of you can as well. And you see, I don't have to tell you, but as you experiment yourselves, you see that your interaction with others will be easier. It will be simpler. So that's what I wanted to bring to you guys today. So that's fraternal communication. Thank you. Any questions from anybody online? No? Any thoughts, any comments, any questions? Yes.
Just a comment. One thing I like about Spiritism is it can take some basic principles and make it more elevated. So the word fraternal technically means between siblings.
Yeah.
In Spiritism, we extended it to be kind, compassionate, charitable. So in Spiritism, when we see the word fraternal, it's more of the latter than the first, but it comes from the fact that it recognizes that we're all brothers and sisters. And this is the way that we should communicate or interact with each other, to be kind and compassionate. So just people who are starting in Spiritism understand that it all comes from the fact that we're all children of God.
Yeah, that's extremely important for us to understand, to see the other person as our brother, our sister. There is one exercise, one suggestion that I learned from a speaker some time ago. And they say, imagine everybody around you, all your neighbors as your friends and your brothers or members of your family. And then when they do something wrong, you're going to act as if they were part of your family. You see that you act differently. Someone parks in your driveway, but it's your brother that made that mistake. And then you see, hey, excuse me, can you please move your car? Whereas if you see there's a stranger that is just put their car there and they have no right to do that, you already get them yelling. So that's extremely important. Is it fraternal, to see others as people as yourself, with feelings, capacity to love, and to feel emotions.
And your reactions is also talking more about you than about the person who did an act that bothered you or made you angry. So how you react to this moments, it's just a deep breath and say, okay, what's happening to me today? More than the other person. When you swear, what is it happening to me today? Has to do more about me and my whatever it is. And when you talk to the other person, it's even if you talk good and good thoughts and good words, if your intention when you apologize is not good, the person will feel it too. So it has to do with your real intention. But we're not perfect, so even if the good intention is not there, doing the exercise of apologizing is a beginning. Even if you 100% don't want to apologize, just apologize. And then this can build from there, because the little good thing is going to come into you.
Anything else, guys? Yes.
Add something.
Sorry.
Someone started first? I will keep that fraternity in this case. We do apologize, we do keep the fraternity, but coming from the other person, the person doesn't accept and attack you.
So that is their problem. So you do your part. So that, of course, it makes it difficult. But we have to detach ourselves from the reaction of that other person. So if we see, I said, I was not right. So even if I'm right, my words were not used properly. I could have said in another way. So I'm wrong on that side. And then if I apologize and the other person does not accept it, say, okay, I accept the fact that you did not accept. What else can we do? There's nothing else. So we detached, but we apologized. We apologize, and that's the important thing.
And the apology it's really the beginning of it. It has to do with you, because even if your intention wasn't to hurt, that person was hurt by it. So you don't know what else she has or whatever feelings were similar that she really felt hurt at that moment. Maybe she's having a bad day. I don't know. But don't take this onto you. So just say, hey, I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to come this way.
But
And
that's
even if that person doesn't accept your apology, this is when you say, okay, this is hers. This is hers. And you let it go. Let it go.
But that person will not forget. That person will not forget when we are putting ourselves in the victim position. You understand? So you see?
Hers. It has to do with her.
But maybe the person that doesn't accept is us. And we will not forget. If we apologize and someone apologizes to us, it doesn't matter what happened, but neither of the two parties will forget. And that's going to come back. And that person one day is going to process that apology. It's going to happen. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say something. First of all, I want to express my gratitude for these profound reflections, which was great. This morning I had a conversation with my niece. She just joined the merchant navy in Brazil, first year, and she's suffering a lot. Acceptance, comparing to others, dorms, all those stuffs. And I transmitted to her the same ideas you just brought here today. I transmitted, we had a very nice 1.5 hours conversation about this. So I got goosebumps here because the idea is exactly the same thing. So gratitude for this.
Thank you. Yeah, it's we are all in the same world, and we are all going through the same things. Anybody else, guys?
I want to talk a little more about the ego part. Like the ego, like sometimes when the person starts cursing, it's more like a defense mechanism for their own fragility than anything else, right? Like I was reading an amazing book, The Many Authors of Concurrency, and like he was talking about like our grandparents or great grandparents, they didn't have an option, right? Like when people did a specific thing or went to a specific church, was not an option. It was just the way people did stuff at that time. They didn't have many like varieties of ideas. And nowadays we have gazillions of different ideas, right? Like, I think the most clear example is like the Earth being a sphere, for example. You couldn't even imagine that people would have a totally different idea. At the moment they say this to you, there is a cultural shock, right? You think like, wow, there are other ways of looking at this that I couldn't even imagine. And like all the ideas that we have about the world and society, they're good for us because they give us comfort, they give an idea of order. So every time that you see a cultural shock, it leaves you kind of shaken in a way. And then you have to redo the process of talking to the person and everything else. And in the book, they mention there are two ways of acting. One is when you double down your idea and then you start cursing and being aggressive. And the other is when you take a step back and you start to relativize your idea. And you think like, okay, so this is my idea, I think this is right for these reasons, but other people are gonna have other ideas that are completely different, right? So like a lot of the times the cursing is more of a defense mechanism for their own fragility, because they couldn't even imagine that people would have different ways of looking at life, right? It leaves them kind of unsafe or like shaken up, because like all the ideas that they have about the world being a specific way, it kind of change. And this is horrible because like we're not made to be in this kind of uncertainty and chaos, right? Like all the ideas that we have are there for us to use some kind of comfort and love.
That's why it's important for us to understand ourselves and our own reactions, so that when react that way, we can understand and we can change it. But that is it takes time, but it has to start somewhere.
But this is all occurring learning, guys. There will be no perfection. This is all a straight learning about yourself, how you can deal with that situation. And that's about life. Life brings us all these different situations, all these different people for us to improve ourselves, right?
Yeah. Anything else, guys? We're good? Thank you.
Yes. So thank you all that joined us in the internet. It was great to have you guys join us, and thank you all that came here today. We have a full house. It's amazing to see all of you. We're now going to continue with our passes, which is a transfusion of good energies. So I would like everyone to stay connected with these good vibrations of love, this good energy that we see, feel in this room at this moment. May we ask God to bless us and feel and receive all these good vibrations that we all need at this moment. So be it.